Grand Rising, y'all. Welcome back to the MME YouTube channel where we're here to help you develop a healthy mind and keep your body aligned. My name is Tyler Egan and I will be your wellness mentor and educator for today's video. And in today's video, we have a somatic breathwork meditation that we're going to be going through together. Before we dive too deep into the meditation, there are some educational pieces that I would like to, one, review some older stuff that we talked about in other videos that we're going to review so that we all have the same baseline understanding of what we're going to be doing here, and then some new pieces that I would like to go over with you. So again, we are all on the same page, that we have the same baseline understanding of what we're going to be doing here and how it's going to help us on this journey of healing and spiritual awakening.
So the rope touches my left heel.
With peppers, onions.
Circadian health. More importantly, we're going to be talking about your circadian rhythm. So first things first, what is somatic breathwork meditation? What does that mean? We did a video some time ago discussing this in deeper detail. If you want to check that out to get a deeper understanding of this, although there will be a link down below, but essentially those three words, right? Somatic breathwork and meditation. Let's look at the first one. Somatic refers to the mind-body connection and how we can utilize that connection for healing trauma, emotional wounds, things of that nature. Breath work, we're going to be utilizing as a vehicle to move prana, or our life force energy, or as traditional Chinese medicine calls it, our qi, right? And then last but not least, meditation. Dr. Joe Dispenza coined this in such a beautiful way. He refers to meditation as knowing thyself, right? So to know thyself. So when we put it all together, what is somatic breathwork meditation? We are using the mind-body connection to not only understand ourselves better, but to move energy in such a way to enhance the mind-body connection and heal old wounds, old traumas, some scars that may be lodged within the body, right? The body is what holds on to all of these scars, right? That karma, that energetic imprint, mental or psychological things that we've experienced in our lives that maybe we didn't process, didn't move through, and that energy has become trapped or lodged somewhere within here, within these vehicles that we are sitting here in right now. So that's the understanding of somatic breathwork meditation. And if you want to take a deeper dive into that, there will be a link down below to the video we did some time ago discussing that a little bit deeper. Now, before we get into a little bit more of the education, I want to set an intention for this meditation. Now, first things first, if you have your own intentions on why you're here, that's totally cool. Set those too, right? However, the intentions I want to set collectively are as follows. This meditation was designed to increase our self-love and increase both our ability and our capacity for non-judgmental self-observation. And I want to briefly walk you through what I mean by that. To take the seat of the observing mind and notice what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, maybe opinions or harsh judgments you have of yourself or others, without grabbing a hold of them, without identifying with them, or without further judging yourself with all of the shoulds and the coulds, right? So if through this meditation, we're doing our thing, and we're gonna do some interesting techniques here, and I'll explain those in a moment. We're doing our thing, we're doing one of the techniques, and you feel silly or you feel stupid. Allow yourself to feel that. Now, this is where the mind likes to kick in with all of our opinions and judgments, and it's like, you shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't feel silly or stupid. Right now, I'm sitting in my apartment. I'm about to do these things that on the surface are gonna look silly and potentially stupid. And I already know how my mind operates. It's gonna start to tell me how dumb I look and all these things. So my work, and this is what I wanna invite you to do and set this intention with me, is to take the seat of the observer and watch the mind, watch the body, watch the feelings, the experiences that we're going through, watch the mind and all of its judgments and its opinions, and just be the space for all of it. Now, let's get into some of the things that we're going to be going through here today. We've also done a video on our introductory to breathwork where we've talked about some of these different modalities, different ways, techniques for breathing if you want to begin to practice breathwork. There'll be a link down below if you want to check that out as well. So some of these things we may be repeating. But with that being said, the techniques we're going to be using, both breathwork and somatic techniques together, are as followed. We're going to be doing the Kapalabhati breath, or in other words, the translation is this, if I'm not mistaken, the skull shining breath. What this is going to be is forceful. We're going to breathe in through the nose, and then we're going to forcefully exhale out of the nose, contracting our abdomen. Now we're going to do a modified version of this where we're going to be doing bursts of 3 breaths. So the way this would look is now, under other circumstances, we may be doing more of those forceful breaths, but we're just going to be doing bursts of 3. So we'll do our 3 breaths, and then we'll reset the whole thing. From there, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be doing some swaying. Now, in most meditation practices, what we can do is sit if we feel comfortable sitting upright, or lay down so we can keep our spine relatively neutral for balanced energy flow up and down the body. For this meditation, we're going to start with the first breath work, the skull shining breath, sitting upright. And for this, I want to invite you to use pillows or do what I'm doing and use yoga blocks to sit on so you can get into a comfortable position where we can sit upright, or as upright as you possibly can. There is no right or wrong. We want to get into as comfortable a position as possible. You can also put something behind you, like sit behind, I don't know if you can see my couch. I'm pointing to my couch. If you need to, you can like put your couch behind you, a bed behind you, sit on your bed with the wall behind you, whatever you need to do, okay? So for the skull shining breath and then the swaying, we're gonna sit upright. Now, what is swaying gonna look like? What is that? Swaying is rhythmic movement that helps relax the body and promotes the natural flow of energy within the body. Now, I wanna give you an idea of what this could look like if you're observing it from the outside looking in. Imagine a mother trying to calm her child. So they're holding the child and you're swaying. I first realized that this was a thing when I held one of my nephews for the first time. And it relaxed me as much as it relaxed him. I was like, whoa. So anyway, we're gonna do some swaying, this rhythmic movement to relax the body and promote energy flow throughout the body. So we move into some of our other breath work. There'll be a natural ease to the breath, to the energy flow. From there, we can then move into lying down if you prefer, or you can continue to sit upright. And we're gonna do a body scanning. So what is body scanning? Body scanning is a mindfulness technique that we're gonna utilize to systematically focus on different parts of the body. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move from, I was gonna say head to toe, but my mind's saying one thing, my body's saying another. We're gonna move from toe to head. Okay, so we're gonna focus from the ground up, our feet up. Then we're gonna move into EFT, otherwise known as emotional freedom technique, or simply put, tapping. For this, we're just going to tap specific points of the body. Now, there is a proper way to do this in somatic therapy, but what we're gonna do is as we start to do this body scanning, we're going to tap specific parts of the body where maybe we notice trauma is stored. We have tension, right? So right today, all day, I have been noticing this gnarly kink in my neck where like I can't fully look to the side here. I don't even know if you can see that, right? But I have no problem looking this way. So I'm gonna focus on that, right? So we're gonna be tapping the points of our body that we notice a lot of tension, a lot of trauma being stored there, a lot of energy that is bound up. While we're doing the body scanning and the EFT, we're gonna be moving into a breath called Ujayi breathing, otherwise known as ocean breath. Okay, for this one, I believe we did talk about this in the breathwork video. We're gonna take, the breath is going to be in and out, inhalations and exhalations, in and out through the nose. And when we exhale, we're gonna contract the throat. And it's almost like, imagine you're pushing the energy out through your throat here. I don't know if you can hear that through the mic, but we're gonna contract our throat. And imagine we're pushing the energy out through our throat chakra. And we should hear an ocean-like sound coming from our throat. Last two things we're gonna do from there is we're going to move in, after the EFT and body scan, we're gonna move into Wim Hof breathing. So again, from here, we're all gonna lay down. And what Wim Hof breathing is, well, it's actually named after a guy named Wim Hof, if anybody's unfamiliar with him. And it's essentially controlled hyperventilation with retention of our breath at the end. And what this allows us to do is really tap into the subconscious mind, the subconscious part of the mind. And when we do this is really where we can start to rewire the mind, okay? And last but not least, after we do this, we're just gonna lay flat. There's totally a yoga pose for this, and I'm drawing a blank on the name right now. We're just gonna lay Shavasana, maybe? We're just gonna lay flat, let the practice soak in. And here is where I'm gonna open up the invitation. And this is really where the practice of non-judgmental self-observation kicks in. Because here I wanna open up the invitation for what we call tremoring. Now, tremoring is involuntary body shaking. This happens in somatic practices. Our body begins to release some of that stored energy or stored trauma. This is an involuntary practice, meaning you can't necessarily force it. Now, honestly, I didn't even know this was a technique until I just want to share this story because it was so profound in my life. I was over at my sister's house. She has 2 children. She has my 2 nephews. One's 3, one actually just turned 1. And the 3-year-old wasn't getting his way, so he did what any 3-year-old would do, started flipping out, flailing around, whatever, all the things, right? And so I brought him up from the basement of my sister's house, and he just was like all over the place, flailing around like a fish out of water. And I was just like holding him, you know, as tightly as I possibly could so he didn't slip out of my hands. And later that night, through my own breathwork and meditation practice, I just heard source tell me to just start shaking. Now, this wasn't an involuntary practice where my body did it on its own. I consciously chose to do this, but I started to shake my hips. I was laying down flat on the ground, I started to shake my hips, and my whole body just started to tremor. Then just waterworks, tears started flowing from my eyes like I hadn't experienced at that time in a while. And it was, I'm getting the chills thinking about it because it was so freeing. So for the last technique we're gonna utilize here, this is not something you can force. Only do it if you feel called to do it, or if through the practice, your body invites you to do it. And that'll make sense if it happens. Okay, if any of this doesn't make sense right now, let that be okay. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the frame in our own individual circumstances here. So I'm actually gonna kill some of these lights because there's a lot of lights on and the blue lights jack up my eyes. I'm gonna keep a subtle light on the back, so if you wanna take a peek up and see what I'm doing, you can. But like if you wanna burn some sage to set the frame in here and cleanse the energy in your room, I did that before I got started. I got my oil diffuser in the back with some lavender in it to kind of relax my nervous system a little bit. I'm actually gonna put, I have a color light. I'm gonna put, I think like purple or blue one for more of like a soothing setting. Do whatever you need. At the end, when we get to the lying down part, if you need some pillows or blankets to get yourself in a relaxed position, feel free to use those. And again, for the sitting upright part, use a yoga block. You can sit in a chair if you need to, use something at your back, or use pillows to get an upright of a position as you can in a comfortable fashion for you. So go ahead, pause the video because I'm gonna cut this so there's not gonna be much time for you. Pause the video, set yourself up, and we'll get started. To begin this meditation, let's start by taking a deep breath in and letting out a deep sigh. For this, you can take a deep breath in through your nose or through your mouth. When you reach your full inhalation, you're going to breathe out through your mouth, relax your jaw, and let out a deep sigh. So take a deep breath in and release. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in and release. From here, we'll move into our skull shining breath. For this, we're gonna sit as upright as we comfortably can. Take a deep breath in, ground through your sit bones, and then that will be followed by 3 forceful breaths out through the nose, contracting the abs, and then we'll reset. So take a deep breath in and release. Breathe in, release, breathe in, Release. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in. And release. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in. And release. From here, let's move into our swaying. For this, you want to think about grounding through your sit bones and using your sit bones as pivot points, allowing your head to travel over top of whatever side you're leaning into. So your head's over your right sit bone as you lean into your right hip. You'll shift back over in a rhythmic pattern over to your left, allowing your neck to lean towards the left side and go back and forth. Taking deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Relaxing the jaw and letting out deep sighs. You can imagine you're holding a young child. And helping them relax their own nervous system. If it helps, I want to invite you to put one hand over your heart and one hand on your belly. Continuing to sway back and forth, allowing your head to travel over top of each individual sit bone. And if you're feeling up for it, as you do this, you can begin to move your head and neck in a figure 8 pattern. As you continue to sway here, just notice what you're feeling right now. Are there any big emotions showing up for you? Is your mind shoulding or coulding on you? Do you hear judgments or opinions, worries or concerns about where you need to be or what you should be doing? Take a deep breath in. Notice them and release the breath. Let us now return to our skull shining breath. When you get back to a neutral position, Reestablish an upright spine. And we'll go back to our skull shining breath. Taking deep inhalations through the nose, letting out 3 bursts of short yet forceful nasal breaths while contracting our abdomen. Let us take a deep breath in and release. Take a deep breath in and release. Take a deep breath in, release. Take a deep breath in, release. Continue that rhythm on your own as I continue to guide you through this, and I will call you out of that breath when it's time to move on. If you feel called to do so, you can integrate that breathing with your swaying. As you continue this breath, you may notice tingling sensations in your hands and feet. If this becomes too much or overwhelming, feel free to slow down your breath and return to deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you can sit with the mental chatter or the strong energies arising as you continue doing this, continue to remind yourself that you are safe. You are loved. And this moment is exactly where you're supposed to be. You can now return to your normal breathing, your normal rhythmic breathing pattern, and continue your swaying. Notice what you're feeling right now. Notice any tension, any tightnesses within the body. Notice any judgments, opinions, worries, or concerns of the mind. And repeat the following statement to yourself. You're allowed to feel worried in my body. You're allowed to be concerned in my body. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed in my body. You're allowed to feel scared in my body. These fears are not the enemy, and I am the space for those fears to be seen, heard, and loved unconditionally and with unwavering acceptance. Let's take one deep breath in. Let out a deep sigh. And from here, we're going to move into our body scanning and our tapping. I want to invite you to lie down if that feels more comfortable for you, or remain seated if that is calling to your heart and soul right now. If the swaying feels soothing and relaxing to you, you can continue to do this throughout the next portions of our practice. When you're ready, let's take a deep breath in. Fill your lungs up with as much air as you can, and let out a deep, relieving sigh. And let us begin our body scanning by noticing our feet and our toes, starting with our pinky toe and moving from right to left on the right foot and left to right on the left foot, going from smallest to biggest. If you can't feel each individual toe, that's quite all right. Notice as much sensation in each toe as you possibly can. And as we begin to work our way up the body, we're going to begin our Ujayi breathing. For this, we're going to take inhalations in through the nose, keeping the mouth closed but the jaw relaxed, placing our tongue gently at the roof of our mouth, contracting our throat on the exhalations, and making a swish like ocean sound as we exhale. So take a deep breath in. Exhale, contracting your throat. And hear that ocean-like swish sound. And allow that sensation to bring your nervous system into even more of a relaxed state of being. Throughout the next portion of our practice here, if you lose your Ujayi breath and you notice it, come back to the breath and notice the mind and all of its opinions and all of its judgments and all of its distractions and worries and concerns. And just be. Be with it all and breathe. Now we're going to bring our awareness back to our toes and work our way up to our ankles. On our next inhale, we'll pull our attention up a little bit more into our shins. Notice our calves. Bring our awareness up into our knees now. All while doing this, noticing any stiffness, any tightness, any tension, or any energy blockages along the way. Bringing our awareness and our focus back to the knees. And if you notice any pain or discomfort here, and your mind wants to alleviate it, you can do whatever you need to do to alleviate it. And remind yourself that it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel discomfort. The human body is a miraculous thing. Still focusing on the knees, I want to invite you to allow this idea to sink into your nervous system. That your body has the raw materials to heal any pain or discomfort you're experiencing right now. If you lost your breath, I want to invite you to return to your Ujayi breathing now. As we bring our awareness up to our thighs, focusing on the front side. Allowing the energy flow of our awareness to circle around to the back towards the hamstrings. Noticing any stiffness, any blockages. Allowing that energy flow to swirl back around to the front as we move up into the hip flexor region. Into the region of our reproductive organs. And let us stop here and return to our Ujayi breathing. If you're swaying, find some stillness and notice the energy, the feelings, the emotions you're experiencing as we bring our energy, our focus, and our attention to our reproductive organs. Maybe you feel shame here. Allow that to be here. If you notice shame, take a deep breath in and let out a deep sigh through your mouth and repeat after me. You're allowed to be or feel ashamed in my body. This is a safe space for shame. And if you lost your Ujayi breathing, I want to invite you to return to it. As we allow the energy flow to circle back to our rear ends, to our butts, focusing on the right cheek, circling to the left cheek, allowing the energy flow to swirl around as if the pelvis is a bowl. And the energy is just swirling around in there. Continuing to simultaneously notice the energy flow in the pelvis and holding that space for any emotions or energies, any trauma that may be stored in the pelvis. The pelvis is often where we store a tremendous amount of trauma from our childhood. If you have any energies of sexual shame, or any shame at all for that matter, maybe you're harboring some unconscious guilt here. Just allow the feelings that are surfacing to show, to surface, and remind them that they're safe. Remind that inner child, that scared inner child of yours, that it is safe. It is safe to feel, and it is safe to heal. If your mind is kicking in with an old story or some mental justification or blaming somebody or something, you can notice that instead. Let's take a deep breath in and let out a deep sigh. Now we're going to move up a little bit more into the stomach. Allowing that swirling energy flow to circle around our entire navel region. Returning to our Ujayi breath if we lost it. Continuing to notice any feelings, thoughts, judgments, or concerns that are arising. As that energy flow swirls up a little bit more into our rib cage, into our solar plexus. Noticing any anxiety or overthinking that may be arising. Simply allow those intrusive or racing thoughts to come and go, like a cloud in the sky, or leaves blowing by. As that swirling force of energy moves up into the heart center, notice any tightness or blockages here. Feelings of grief, sadness, maybe, despair, maybe thoughts of depression arise. Or maybe you hear your victim's story. Remind that story. Remind those energies that they're safe and they're allowed to be felt. They're allowed to be seen. They're allowed to be heard. And they're allowed to be loved unconditionally. No questions asked. If your mind is starting to kick in, notice the thoughts go by like clouds in the sky. If you lost your Ujayi breath, we'll return to it now. As we move our focus and our attention up into our throat and down into our hands. Notice each individual finger, the palms of your hands, the tightness that may be arising in the clenching of a fist. If feelings of the doer arise, if you feel like you need to be doing something, you should be somewhere else, simply allow. As we move the energy, our attention and our focus up into our forearms, into our elbows, into our biceps, and around to our triceps, into the armpits, behind the shoulders, swirling around into the back of the neck, and those two streams of energy flow come around on the opposing sides and into our throats. We're now noticing that swirling flow of energy return. Noticing what's showing up as this energy, and your attention is focused on your throat chakra. Are there parts of yourself that you want to express more? Are there truths that you're suppressing? What shows up for you when I say that? Maybe a fear, an insecurity, fear of judgment, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. Return to your Ujayi breathing if you lost it. As the energy flow moves up into our head, into the jaw, notice if your jaw is being clenched right now and release it. Take a deep breath in, relax your jaw and let out a deep sigh. Moving your focus into your forehead, your ears, your nose, the backs of your eyes, your eyelids, and moving that energy flow up into the crown of your head. From here, we'll maintain our Ujayi breathing and we'll move into our tapping. Recalling any areas of tightness, any areas of specific blockages, fears, traumas that you notice through our body scanning. And we'll begin to lightly tap those areas. If it's a sensitive area, I want to invite you just to lightly brush your fingers over the area, lightly tap that area, or maybe even massage that area, like your temples, for example. Continuing with your Ujayi breath, find your first point of tension and begin tapping that area. You can continue to sway if you're sitting upright, if that rhythmic pattern feels comfortable for you, or you can continue to lie still, tapping the area with your Ujayi breath as we use our tapping or our light massaging to free that blocked energy. Feel free to move to your next point of tension or blocked energy and continue to move along, circling back and forth between the areas where you feel the most blocked energy. And I will call you out when it's time to move on. If you're sitting upright, and at any point you want to switch to a lying down position, please do not hesitate to do so. If your hands or arms get tired of the tapping, feel free to relax and just be with what is. Continuing with your Ujayi breath, tapping. If there's a lot of energy for you to move, or relaxing if you feel called to do so. You can relax from all the tapping if you haven't done so already, and return to your normal rhythmic breathing pattern. And for a moment here, we're just going to sit and be with what is. Notice any feelings that are showing up, old traumas, any releases, whether it be through tears or other forms of bodily expulsion. The body is such a beautiful thing in how it releases energy. It might come in the form of tears, something like a burp, maybe drooling, tingling sensations, other forms of gas, a mental release where you feel your head and the pressure inside subsiding. Let's take a deep breath in together. Let out a deep sigh through the mouth. As we begin to unwind from this practice now, we're going to move into our last breathwork technique, otherwise known as our Wim Hof breath. For this, we're going to let in deep inhalations through the nose or mouth, whatever's more comfortable, and deep exhalations out of the mouth. We're going to do this for 30 or upwards of 30 deep breaths rapidly. As we go through this breath, you may start to notice tingling sensations throughout your body. If at any point this is uncomfortable, you can stop and relax. If you stop early or you reach your 30th breath, on the last breath, we're going to take a deep inhale and we're going to hold for as long as we can. This can be 15 seconds or a minute. When you reach your threshold, you're just going to release your breath. Lie out, putting your arms and legs out in a relaxed position. And from there, I'll invite you to allow what you're feeling. If you want to explore consciously choosing the tremoring by shaking your arms and legs and hips, I want to put the invitation out there for you to do so. Or if it involuntarily happens, practice the art of non-judgmental self-observation and remind yourself that you are safe, you are loved, you are seen, and you are heard. Let's take a deep breath in and release it. We'll now move into our Wim Hof breathing. Remember, in through the nose or the mouth, out through the mouth in a rapid succession until you start to feel a tingling sensation that is either uncomfortable or until you reach your 30th breath. Let us begin. Notice any tingling sensations, any tightnesses that occur. We're entering into the sympathetic nervous system. By breathing this way, we are intentionally upregulating and stressing our nervous system out. Remind yourself that you're safe. And notice any thought patterns that arise. And on our last breath here, Take a deep breath in and hold. Hold for as long as you can and notice what you're feeling. And when you're ready, let out a deep sigh and relax your arms and legs. And any thoughts, feelings, tightnesses, spasms, or even releases that are occurring right now are all wired into your subconscious mind. And now is the time, as the relaxing chemicals of the brain sink in, for us to hold that space for any of those traumas, any of those energetic blockages, or any of those wounds. I want to invite you to put your arms around yourself like you're hugging yourself. Just remind yourself out loud that you are safe, you are loved, you are seen, and you are heard. I want to continue to invite you to say this with an I am affirmation statement. I am safe. I am loved. I am seen. And I am heard. I am safe. I am loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am safe. I am loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am safe. I am loved. I am seen, and I am heard. Allow your body to tremor if it is tremoring. That is the release of an old story, an emotional wound, a part of your inner child who is thanking you for holding this space for them. Allow the release to continue through the tremoring. Noticing where in your body it's occurring. And telling that young inner child, that scared kid of yours, that they're allowed to dissolve into you. So repeat after me. You're safe. You're safe to dissolve into me. I am the the space for you to be seen. I am the space for you to be heard. I am the space that you are loved in. You are loved so much. You are loved unconditionally, no matter what. You can relax now. You can let go. I love you. Let's take a deep breath in. Let out a deep sigh. We'll take a minute here as we close down this meditation to just be with ourselves, to be with our scared inner children, the thoughts, the stories, the emotions, the feelings, the sensations. And hold this space. I'll call you back momentarily to close out our time together. When you're ready, bring your focus back to your fingers and toes. Wiggle them around. Bring a little bit of movement into your hips and into your torso. You can continue to lie down if you want as I add some closing remarks, or you can come to a seated position as I turn my lights back on, and we'll close this out. All right, y'all, that is going to wrap up the somatic breathwork meditation to increase self-love and hold that space for non-judgmental self-observation. I want to thank you all for doing this work with me and having the courage to sit in the fire with any of the wounds, energies, or traumas that may have shown up for you throughout our practice. I feel myself getting emotional. I'm starting to tear up a little bit because that was deep. I also want to thank you all for sticking with me. The intention when I started this was not for this to be an hour long, but here we are. So with all that out of the way, again, thank you all so much for holding the space with me and for doing this work. It is deep, and you may not notice any shifts or changes or releases right now in this moment, or even today, but trust me, the days or weeks to come, if you so choose to come back to this meditation and do it again, it'll only amplify the work we're doing here. But even if you don't, the work we've done here today is going to have a ripple effect in the days and weeks to come. And you may notice a release pop up out of nowhere. You could be in the middle of work or eating dinner and you just get emotional and start crying, like I am starting to right now. And that is part of that story those wounds being released. So thank you all for showing up and doing this work with me. If you took anything from today's video, we would really appreciate it. If you could leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps us grow and reach and help more people. If you're interested in working with us one-on-one, having more access to content like this, and having our one-on-one guidance to help you and facilitate you through your wellness, healing, and spiritual awakening journey, there will be a link down below where you can schedule a discovery call to learn more about the MMA community and what we have to offer. So with all that out of the way, thank you all so much for showing up today and doing this work. Namaste.
So the rope touches my left heel.
with peppers, onions,
Circadian health. More importantly, we're going to be talking about your circadian rhythm.